So let's continue the schooling of this fool called Aaron. Woe into the Dumbmite.
Is he says liar equals bull, like a Lier. He says Lier is the same thing as liar. Well, let's go check that out. Let's see if that's true. Okay, we went to EddieMonline.com. It doesn't really give you much for the word liar.
Wait a minute. First of all, this proves that you're the novice researcher, and I am a master researcher, and let me show you why. First of all, you are not going to be able to lie your way out of this one, you liar, because the definition and etymology is plain and simple and very clear. So the definition of liar comes from the word lie, to deceive, belie, betray, or deceive, to give false witness. And the etymology is clearly shown with the pagan Germanic or the Old English or the English as well as the Dutch, etc. But the etymology of the word lie boils down to one root word and meaning, Leugh, which comes from the Scottish, Gaelic, Proto-Celtic word that means to laugh. And as you clearly see, this Leugh clearly comes from the calf, the bull, or the cow. And shortly I will explain how this relates to Zeus and laughing. So already I have proven that I am 100% correct, and the word lie does come from the calf, the bull, or the cattle. But now I will take it a step further and explain exactly why the liary or the liar is the liar, which comes from the bull or the bullshitter, the liar. So this ancient mythology does come from Greece, but the Greeks were actually not the first ones to invent the lyre. It actually came from ancient Ur, the city of Ur in ancient Sumer. And it's the same exact story with the ancient Neolithic Ugarit and ancient Cana-Phoenicia cities like Uruk, which also worshipped the sacred bull. So ancient Ur or Sumer in Mesopotamia is where we find the world's oldest lyres, dating back 4,500 years ago. And real quickly, I just want to point out that in the Germanic runic alphabet, the U or the is known as the wild ox. Now let's get back to the mythology of the ancient Lyre and the liar and the sacred bull, or the bullshitter. So, the lyre or the Lyre was invented by Zeus's son, God's son, called Hermes or Mercury. Hermes Trismegistus, who gives us the Hermetic maxim, as above, so below. So Hermes is the messenger of the gods, the god of the underworld, fertility. He's the trickster, the liar, the thief and the robber, and the one who invented language and speech. He is also known as a cattle driver or a herdsman. And the creation of the Lyre begins with baby Hermes on his first day of life as an infant, with Apollo and the cattle and Zeus. So on the very first day that Hermes was born, the infant little baby child wanted some meat from the cow, so he found a turtle and made a lyre from it, along with the hide of the cattle, the skin of the cow. And this animal skin of the cowhide is known as the biblical nevel. And today we call this cowhide leather. And when you look at a lyre, you can clearly see it's shaped like the bull. And I will clearly quote from Wikipedia. According to ancient Greek mythology, the young god Hermes created the Lyri from a slaughtered cow from Apollo's sacred herd, using the intestines for the strings. But before I continue, let's go over the Lyri that was created from the turtle or the tortoise shell. First of all, the turtle's head is very phallic in nature. It resembles a penis. It would shrivel and shrink in, and you can see the skin even looks like a penis. And then when it extends and gets hard and erect, it looks like the male erection. Thus Hermes is the god of fertility and sexuality, which gives us the Herma. And of course the bull is the symbol of fertility. So the turtle comes from the tortoise, which comes from the Taurus bull. And of course a turtle is a reptile. So the Taurus turtle is an infernal animal, a diabolical creature that comes from the underworld and is associated with hell, thus Tartarus, which is the diabolical home of the devil or the bull. And of course, the sacred bull or the minotaur is also associated with the underworld or the sacred hell of the labyrinth. So the Lyri or the Lyra has two raised arms or a yoke, which is associated again with the bull, which is in the shape of a U or the or the Lyri bullhorns, which is associated with the bullhorns of the moon, the crescent moon, the curve or the bow of the moon, which is why we have the Ark of the Covenant, which is the bow of the moon or the bull of the moon, which is like what I said before, that the bowl of the moon gives us the bowl, which is the arc or the bow of the moon, the bowl. So the shape of the moon or the crescent of the moon is what gives us our word bow, as in a bow and arrow. And the arrow is the light beams shooting down to earth, the symbology of the goddess and the bow, or Apollo and his bow shooting sun rays down. So the bow of the moon, or the bow and arrow, gives us our bow instruments, like the harp or the lyre. And of course, King David played the sacred harp, or the lyre. So the lyra or the lyre was fashioned after the sacred bull, which is why you'll find that a harp or a lyre has a head and a tail or a foot. And when we take a look at these ancient African lyre, you can also see they used the sacred horns. In fact, this is why Hermes or Mercury has the symbolism of the horned wings on his head, which represents the symbol of the bull horns, which is why he's called the little trickster, the deceiver, or the little devil, which is why he's the patron god of thieves, robbers, and of the underworld. So like I said, Hermes was known as Hermes Trismegistus, 3 times great, which is why they say the first lyra or lyre was made with 3 strings, which is why the horny, evil little devil also has the symbolism of the pitchfork with 3 horns. And I'll give you one guess what the third horn represents. So maybe now you'll understand the association with a liar and why his nose grows. And even today, we have the symbolism of Hermes Trismegistus in our days of the week, which is why our third day of the week, which is named after Mercury or Hermes, is known as Wednesday or Odin's Day. It's the third day of the week, Hermes Trismegistus. So let's get back to why the Lyra or the Lyre is the liar. And this ancient mythology comes from the Homeric hymn to Hermes, which is an ancient Greek hymn by Homer. So basically, the story is about baby Hermes who steals the sacred cattle of Apollo, 50 of them. He walks them backwards and hides them in a cave. He then kills 2 of the oxen or the bulls and cuts them into 12 portions, which of course represents the Bible of the seasons and the 12 houses of the zodiac. So it is said that Hermes is the first god to make a fire or a barbecue and make a burnt offering or a sacrifice to the 12 immortals. So Apollo accused Hermes of the theft of his sacred cattle, but Hermes lied to Apollo and tried to fool him and trick him. So basically, Hermes was a liar. You see, Zeus entered the argument of Apollo and Hermes and said that Hermes was lying. And Zeus began to laugh because of the boldness of Hermes when he lied. So, like I said, laugh is the etymological root of the word lie or liar. So now you know why the word lie in etymology relates to the cow, the calf, or the bull, the cattle. I'm sure you've heard the expression, don't be cheesy with me. In other words, don't be a trickster or a liar. Because being cheesy comes from the sacred cow or the bullshitter. So now you know the true meaning behind the cheese and the laughing cow, and why they have what's called baby Bel, because Baal is the baby child of the bull god El. And of course, Bel was known as the sun god, which is why the little baby Bel cheese is shaped in the form of the red sun of Baal. And they serve it in the round pie of the 8 slices, which represents the 8 Sabbaths of the year, the 8 seasons of the year, which is representative of time itself, the 8 of time. Thus, the 8 in timing in music. And so you see how Apollo, the sun god, is represented with the lyre or the bull horns, thus the association with the golden calf or the golden sun. Thus the symbolism of both the sun and the bullhorns of the moon, which is why Apollo and Diana, the sun and the moon gods, are brother and sister. And of course we have the sacred cattle of Helios, which is the sacred city of the sun. So now let's continue with the Homeric hymn to Hermes, and why a Lyre is a liar. While Hermes was arguing with Apollo, Hermes began to play his magical lyre that was made from the slaughtered cow or bull. And the music of the lyre enchanted Apollo. And Hermes asked for forgiveness. And Apollo forgave him when he apologized. So Apollo allowed Hermes to keep the cattle in exchange for the lyre, because Hermes was a good liar. Thus he apologized, which is where we get the word apology from Apollo, who forgave the liar. So now you see the association with the lyra or the lyre and the liar, which is why it's associated with the cattle or the bull, because it's all about bullshitting, which is a liar. This is why the Bible has what's called the Book of Psalms, and the Book of Psalms is all about parables, which of course is the pair of bulls, or the bullshitter, the liar. And this is exactly why the Book of Psalms is named after the lyre or the lyra, which double confirms the story of bullshitting.